Hey folks, it's Captain Matt again and the crew, and we are really excited about something. How can we make a worm bin out of a heavy-duty garbage can? And as we bounced the thought around, we came up with a phenomenal idea, and I am so excited to share it with you. Here it is, right, Seth? This is it. You've seen these. Watch, I'm gonna turn this around so you can see the whole thing. This is a kind of garbage can that the truck comes by and picks it up. As a matter of fact, this thing's so heavy duty, that truck picks it up, bangs it on the ground, and we're like, we should make a worm bin out of something like that. And so we went out and we got one and started playing with the idea, and we came up with one of the most awesome ideas for a worm bin. It's a garbage can worm bin of all things. Take a look. And it's not only a worm bin, it is a continuous flow worm bin, and it has a lid on it. It is mobile. Oh, look at this. The worm bin's in my way. I'm gonna move it over here. You can't do that with some of your worm bins because they're just too heavy to do it. You can put this in the basement in the winter and bring it outside in the summer, put it into the shade. You can move it around. It's awesome. And so we started playing with the idea, and this is what we came up with. I can't wait to load it up, get it wormed up. We will have 6 cubic feet of worm poo in this by the time we start scraping. You have got to let your pad inside build up first. We'll put cardboard down, then we'll start putting bedding, we'll start wetting it down and putting our worms in, and we'll slowly build this bin up. And that building may take, 3 months if we're using compost, maybe 6 months if you're using a lot of house scraps. But we'll build it up, and when we get it to a certain point where that pad is built, then we'll take this scraper. And by the way, this scraper used to had a hoe on this side and 3 prongs on that side. Found it at the hardware store, and we cut everything off because now Luke can look from the top as I go down. And if I want to start scraping, I just put this baby in and start pulling it through. Put it in over here. Pull it through. And just, it reaches every corner. I'm not even bending down for it. And then the poo all falls down right down here. And it's an easy fix. Shovel it up, put it in your bucket, and off to the vegetable garden you go. Very exciting. We went out and bought one just because we were so excited about it. But you could go to your local waste people and ask them if they have any hanging around, some used ones. We built this for under $30. Now that's not including the bin. It has a top on it. Close it up, boom, ba-boom. The worms are in there and all set. The mobility of it. When you get involved with worms, you become worm people. You become part of the worm community. And we're worm people. And as you start trying this and trying that, new ideas come. As a matter of fact, if you don't follow your dream or your vision on certain things, you leave a whole bunch of other things behind. It's when we started doing this and that we started thinking, how can we do it better? How can we do it differently? And that's how this came up. And when one of us came up with the idea of, wow, how about a garbage can? It was like, ba-boom. I'm not only excited about where we're at today with worms, I can't wait for you guys to come up with some great ideas for bins and feeding and usages of worm castings, because we're worm people, and that's what happens. What we're going to do next is we're going to take you over to the shop over at Mark's house, and we're going to show you how simple it is to build this. Okay, folks, here we are. We're all across the street over in Mark's shop, and Mark is going to actually build this now for you. We're going to watch and maybe ask a few questions that you might be asking along the way.
So what we got our one garbage bin. The only other materials we're going to need is 2 pieces of pipe. This is 3/4 inch PVC pipe. You can get that any place, Home Depot, Lowe's. 3/4 inch is the size. They're 10 foot long. And then we need some caps. And these are same thing, 3/4 inch PVC caps. For the tools we're going to use, you're going to need something to cut the pipe. I'm going to use a chop saw just because I have that in the setup. You can use a hacksaw, anything. You're going to want, one of these tools might be easiest. when we get into cutting the actual bin, gonna want a battery drill. I'm using an 1 1/8" hole saw. It's a very common size. And what you really want, if you use a different type of bit, is you want a drill that is a little bit bigger than the pipe, but a little bit smaller than the cap, because we're using the cap as a stop. We're gonna want one small bit. I think this is a 3/16, but you want a little bit longer of a bit, and we'll show you why when we get into it. A little bit of PVC glue, and then you're gonna want one stick. Can be anything that's about 2 feet long and just flat, really. We're gonna use this as basically our layout. The garbage can, as you can see, has all these shapes, and we're gonna drill a hole here, one on the flat, one in there. It'd be very difficult to try to measure and get everything laid out nice. So what we're gonna use the stick for is we're gonna lay everything out on the stick and use this as a template and put it on there, and it's gonna make it very easy to show exactly where we're gonna drill our holes. And we'll lay it right down. First step is we're gonna get the width of our can. So, let's see what we got. Let's hold that right about on the edge. Like right about there. All right, so we have 20 inches. So first thing we're gonna do is cut this template stick at 20 inches. Now that we have our stick, we wanna see how many of these 1-inch pipes we can fit in 20 inches. And we also want to shoot to have a 1-inch gap in between each pipe, and that's going to leave the space for Captain Matt to do the raking and anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center of this stick, which is going to be 10 inches. All these pipes, it's a 3/4 inch pipe, but the outside diameter is 1 inch. All right, so we have our 20-inch stick. How we're going to lay that out, we're going to start from the center. So we're going to mark 10 inches. And then if we were to put a pipe centered on there, that's 1 inch. It would start there. Then what we would do is go 1 inch for a space, 1 inch for a pipe, 1 inch for a space, and so on to that edge of the board. And then we're gonna do the same thing going this way. All right, so this is what we end up with. This is gonna be the centers of all our pipes. And so I'm counting up, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pipes. So if your can is a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, you might need to adjust the spacing. Maybe the spacing isn't an inch, maybe it's 1 inch and a 1/16 or 1/8. But either way, if you start from the center and work out, you're gonna get very even spacing. So next thing we're gonna do, maybe if Seth wants to do, we're gonna drill a little hole on all these, right on the center there. Perfect. We're going to drill a little hole on all these. All right, so once we have our stick all laid out, that's where our pipes are going to go. We're going to transfer this onto the garbage can. What we found out is we wanted to put our pipes to get the right depth to hold all the soil. We wanted to be basically right above the point that the garbage can would pick up. We want to find the center. So the center is going to be right around there. And I'm going to line that up mainly by eye with the center of this stick. So that way we're not shifting too far either way. Then to keep it even, we're going to take a measurement from the top and just make sure we're even on both sides so we're not drilling like that. So it looks like I want to be right around 17 3/4. This is where the story stick comes into play. Now with a long drill bit, I'm putting little pilot holes into the garbage can right where our pipes need to go.
Yeah, Mark, the story stick is really ingenious.
Right, yeah.
My goodness, because now you have the center of all your holes,
Yep.
and there's no miscalculations. I'm telling you, that's ingenious. You carpenters, you know your stuff.
All right, so now we're going to do the same thing on the back side. So we're going to want to find our center again, 17 3/4 about. So we want to mark our center on the garbage can, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drill our pilot holes.
That is fantastic.
So that's what you end up with. You have all your holes perfectly spaced, and it doesn't matter if the can curves or anything. Two-dimensionally, they're all in line. All right, so the next step, we're gonna leave that down. We're gonna take our 1.1/8" hole saw. That is the size we need that this pipe can go right through that garbage can. Now for this first hole, you can see the can is curved. You don't want to drill in that direction. What you still want to be drilling straight down, and it's actually going to drill in a long hole. And we can see that the pipe will fit right in there, and the pipe is also going to stay straight. And now we're just going to drill the rest of the holes. And this last one is again one of the ones going around the corner, so you just want to make sure you're still drilling straight down. And having that pilot hole that we started with was important, or else the drill would want to run all over the place on you. Just going to clean the holes. It left a few burrs on it. All right, I'm going to flip the can over and do the same thing on the front. That's all the holes. Just gonna clean these up. You'd also want to make sure when you do the layout on the story stick that you try to get a pipe so it won't land right on the corner of these bends. See how we just missed those. But that's easy to do by just adjusting your spacing a little bit if you need to. Instead of 1 inch, go to 1.1/16", or even less. You can go down to a slightly smaller space.
All right, Mark's going to cut the pipes now. Oh my goodness.
We're going to pre-cut all these pipes just to make sure that they're a little bit longer than your can. So we're going to start by cutting these pipes at 2 feet long. We're going to be cutting them one more time once we put them through, because they're all going to be a little bit different length. Next up we're going to do, we got our 9 pipes. Just so you know, you can cut with just about anything that'll cut wood. We'll cut PVC, hacksaw, sawzall. We just use a chop saw just because it was there. Next step we're going to do is we're going to glue one cap on one end of each pipe. So let's do that. Seth, you want to help?
Yep.
I'm going to put the glue on and put the cap on. Or you can put the cap on. I'll put the glue on. Okay. Putting a little glue on. And then Seth can... And then you want to hold it on for about 5 seconds, and then you take it. All right, we're all set. We got our 9 pipes with one end glued on. So next step is let's put it through one of the holes. Let's go on the end one there, yep. Okay, then we got to line it up through here and put it through that hole. And we're going to pull it right up to the end of the cap there so the cap hits. Again, we're using the cap as our stop so the pipe can't move. On the back side, so we cut these all long because they're all going to be a different length. What you want to do is add about 3/4 inch to the pipe. And we're going to cut the rest of this off. Mainly just for looks. So pull that back out. And I will cut this again. Okay. Now we're just going to want to put a little glue. Maybe what we'll do is we'll put the glue inside the cap. Pull the cap off. Let's put a little glue inside it. tempo. And you want to hold it on for a couple seconds. Very nice. And so what that did is it allows us so the pipe won't slide anymore. The stops are going to hold it on each end. We're just going to do that same thing 8 more times.
They're all different lengths because of the shapes and curves in the garbage can. So folks, you know, we're coming to the tail end of this already. You might have seen online, I've seen them, you've seen them. They're bins for $300 and $320 and they're continuous flow. We're talking about building a bin in a garbage can. Mark's doing it in less than an hour from start to finish and for under $30. And this garbage can cost 80, what was it, Mark, 87?
About that, yep.
About $87. And so 87 and the 30 for a wonderful continuous flow bin that is gonna last and last and last. I mean, this is lifetime. You're not gonna have to replace any parts. These things were built to get beat up. And you'll have a lifetime worm bin. Mark is now just about to cut his last piece. I am amazed at where we're at. As we work a certain area of our lives, this is so with gardening and so with the worms, as you fulfill this idea that you had, it always leads you to the next idea and the next idea.
All right.
Hold on, you got them in, but I want to tell you what the time was. 45 minutes from start to finish.
Well, to get the pipes in.
To get the pipes in, yeah. And again, Mark's a skilled carpenter, so this may, if I was to do this, this might take me 3 or 4 hours, but it's still a lifetime item. Look at the strength and power of this. So now we're going to cut the front.
So we've done this on a couple garbage cans already, and we learned a little bit more each time.
You want to show the one?
One was the height of getting our pipes right, where to drill so we get our spacing lined up on there. But the
Mark,
other thing
you made mistakes?
I know, believe it or
Holy
not. I
smokes.
know, unbelievable. But so another thing we did when we were going to cut a hole on the bottom to harvest the castings, and we cut out too much. We originally cut way over here and over there, and what that did, when you could take the can, shake it, and the top would move. And there's going to be a lot of weight in the top of this with the soil, so we just realized that was way too much. Let's tip this down. So what we figured it's really important to keep all the corners that you can, because that's really where it gives it all its strength. So we decided to cut along this line here, the inside corner, about up to there, and the same thing on this side, right along the inside corner. And then we left a little bit of this bottom corner. So we cut up there. And then on the top, we cut straight across, right around this point. So that left us, if you had to guess, if your can's a little different, about 3 inches from the pipes. And then we put a little round on the top so you could get even closer than the pipes, but we didn't want to take out everything underneath the pipes again because all the weight is going to be on these pipes, so we wanted to leave enough structure to hold it. I grabbed a paint can and we just drew the round of the paint can just to make it look nice. So this is where the multi-tool comes in, makes it really easy to cut this.
So if a person doesn't have a multi-tool, what's another tool? 'Cause
Yep.
I don't have one of those, and I have a lot of tools. What would I use other than that?
Sawzall would work? Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
or a jig with a long...
Jigsaw with the long blade. The jigsaw might be hard because of
I think it's Sawzall with a long
Sawzall
blade.
would work. Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
great,
Yep.
great.
All right, here we go.
I'll here we are, and this is the finished product. We thought that if we cut out the big area, it'd be much easier to get the castings out.
Right.
But the difference is this, Mark. Show how that wobbles, and this one does not. It has no wobble in it. But we took the strength out of that can and realized that won't work with all the weight up top here. But now we're confident that this will work.
That one you go home.
Yeah. All right, folks. So very exciting. And you know, the one thing I'm convinced of, having been in communication with you wonderful worm people, is I keep getting ideas from you that I sometimes think, well, why didn't I think of that? Well, because that's not the way we work. Each one of us share a little bit and we build on things. And so we're looking at you now saying, okay, we came up with this. How can we perfect this? Is there something you know? Is there something you can do that can make this a better worm bin? If there is, hey, let us know. You know, we're going to put on the bottom of this video, there will be some links for all the parts that we bought at Home Depot. And the neat thing about Home Depot is you can get free deliveries. So folks, with great excitement, I look forward to hearing from you and showing us how can we improve on this. And until then, this is Captain Matt and Mark, Jude and Seth and Luke today, and we are all signing out, and God bless you. Have a wonderful day. We're going to start a newsletter. The newsletter is going to be for you. We're going to answer and write some things out in the newsletter that maybe you couldn't put in a video, but we're going to cover some areas that will be real helpful for you. Some of the stuff will be things that we're learning. We're worm people. We're a community right now. We have just started.